Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've had a chance to reflect on the valuable insights from part 1 of our journey. Did you learn something new? Have you started implementing any of the principles discussed? In part 2, we'll delve deeper into the guides that can help shape your decision-making process and philosophy for a more fulfilling life. Let's explore together how these principles can lead you towards your goals and aspirations. Let's begin our journey. Are you ready? All right. The decision-making process. Whenever a new idea comes our way, we subconsciously place this idea on our mental scales and weigh it to determine what level of action we need to take on the idea. Those ideas that measure high on our scale receive immediate attention. Those that measure low on our scale receive only minimal or infrequent notice. Whatever level of action we determine to be correct will ultimately be decided by our philosophy. If we have failed to gather adequate knowledge, or if we have failed to refine or add to the knowledge we possess, then a significant number of our decisions may move us away from success rather than toward it. If we are inclined to spend major time on minor things, or even major money on minor things, then it is essential for us to take a closer look at our decision-making process. The world is filled with those whose decisions are destined to destroy their chances for success. Those who do not operate from a sound philosophy often do that which they should have left undone, and leave undone that which they should have done. They fail to set goals and establish priorities. They vacillate between one decision and another. They sense that they should be doing something, but lack the discipline to convert this awareness into action. Every day is filled with dozens of personal crossroads, moments when we are called upon to make a decision regarding minor as well as major questions. It is important to remember that each and every one of the choices we make during these moments of decision charts a path leading to some future destination. Just as the sum total of our past decisions has led us to our current circumstances, the decisions we make today will lead us to the rewards or the regrets of the future. Choices, decisions, selections. Each provides us with an opportunity to determine the quality of our future, and each demands that we prepare in advance for the decision that is to be made. In those moments of choice, it is the knowledge we have acquired and the philosophy we have developed from this knowledge that will either serve us or destroy us. That is why we must be found constantly preparing for the unanticipated confrontation with important choices. Only through careful mental preparation can we consistently make wise choices. What we think determines what we believe influences what we choose defines what we are, and what we are attracts what we have. If we are not happy with where our past decisions have led us, then the place to start is with our current thinking process. As we add new knowledge, we will begin to refine our philosophy. As our beliefs change, so too will our choices. And from better choices come better results. The development of a sound philosophy prepares us for making sound decisions. Like the architect, we must learn to see in our minds the result we wish to achieve, and then go to work on building a solid foundation to support this vision. Once the vision is clearly defined and the foundation has been firmly established, then the choices required to complete the structure are easily and wisely made. The formula for failure. Failure is not a single cataclysmic event. We do not fail overnight. Failure is the inevitable result of an accumulation of poor thinking and poor choices. To put it more simply, failure is nothing more than a few errors in judgment repeated every day. Now, why would someone make an error in judgment and then be so foolish as to repeat it every day? The answer is because he or she does not think that it matters. On their own, our daily acts do not seem that important. A minor oversight, a poor decision, or a wasted hour generally don't result in an instant and measurable impact. More often than not, we escape from any immediate consequences of our deeds. If we have not bothered to read a single book in the past 90 days, this lack of discipline does not seem to have any immediate impact on our lives. And since nothing drastic happened to us after the first 90 days, we repeat this error in judgment for another 90 days, and on it goes. Why? Because it doesn't seem to matter. And herein lies the great danger. Far worse than not reading the books is not even realizing that it matters. Those who eat too many of the wrong foods are contributing to a future health problem, but the joy of the moment overshadows the consequence of the future. It does not seem to matter. Those who smoke too much or drink too much go on making these poor choices year after year after year because it doesn't seem to matter. But the pain and regret of these errors in judgment have only been delayed for a future time. Consequences are seldom instant. Instead, they accumulate until the inevitable day of reckoning finally arrives, and the price must be paid for our poor choices. Choices that didn't seem to matter. Failure's most dangerous attribute is its subtlety. In the short term, those little errors don't seem to make any difference. We do not seem to be failing. In fact, sometimes these accumulated errors in judgment occur throughout a period of great joy and prosperity in our lives. Since nothing terrible happens to us, since there are no instant consequences to capture our attention, we simply drift from one day to the next, repeating the errors, thinking the wrong thoughts, listening to the wrong voices, and making the wrong choices. The sky did not fall in on us yesterday, therefore the act was probably harmless. Since it seemed to have no measurable consequence, it is probably safe to repeat. But we must become better educated than that. If at the end of the day when we made our first error in judgment the sky had fallen in on us, we undoubtedly would have taken immediate steps to ensure that the act would never be repeated again. Like the child who places his hand on a hot burner despite his parents' warnings, we would have had an instantaneous experience accompanying our error in judgment. Unfortunately, failure does not shout out its warnings as our parents once did. This is why it is imperative to refine our philosophy in order to be able to make better choices. With a powerful personal philosophy guiding our every step, we become more aware of our errors in judgment and more aware that each error really does matter. The formula for success. Like the formula for failure, the formula for success is easy to follow. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. Now here is an interesting question worth pondering. How can we change the errors in the formula for failure into the disciplines required in the formula for success? The answer is by making the future an important part of our current philosophy. Both success and failure involve future consequences, namely the inevitable rewards or unavoidable regrets resulting from past activities. If this is true, why don't more people take time to ponder the future? The answer is simple. They are so caught up in the current moment that it doesn't seem to matter. The problems and the rewards of today are so absorbing to some human beings that they never pause long enough to think about tomorrow. But what if we did develop a new discipline to take just a few minutes every day to look a little further down the road? We would then be able to foresee the impending consequences of our current conduct. Armed with that valuable information, we would be able to take the necessary action to change our errors into new success-oriented disciplines. In other words, by disciplining ourselves to see the future in advance, we would be able to change our thinking, amend our errors, and develop new habits to replace the old. A few simple disciplines practiced every day. One of the exciting things about the formula for success is that the results are almost immediate. As we voluntarily change daily errors into daily disciplines, we experience positive results in a very short period of time. When we change our diet, our health improves noticeably in just a few weeks. When we start exercising, we feel a new vitality almost immediately. When we begin reading, we experience a growing awareness and a new level of self-confidence. Whatever new discipline we begin to practice daily will produce exciting results that will drive us to become even better at developing new disciplines. The real magic of new disciplines is that they will cause us to amend our thinking. If we were to start today to read the books, keep a journal, attend the classes, listen more, and observe more, then today would be the first day of a new life leading to a better future. If we were to start today to try harder and in every way make a conscious and consistent effort to change subtle and deadly errors into constructive and rewarding disciplines, we would never again settle for a life of existence. Not once we have tasted the fruits of a life of substance. There are those who would lead us to believe that we do not need the disciplines in order to change our lives, that all a person needs is a little motivation. But motivation is not how people change their lives. To change a life, we must first change our thinking habits. If a person is a fool and becomes motivated, he merely becomes a motivated fool. To change ourselves from how we are to how we want to be, we must begin with those few basics that affect the way we think. We can greatly change the course of our lives by spending more time and making a greater conscious effort to refine our personal philosophy. The exciting thing is that we will not have to change all that much for the results to very quickly change for us. Disciplines tend to multiply. All disciplines affect each other. Every new discipline affects not only the discipline that we have already begun to practice, but also the disciplines we will soon adopt. Everything affects everything else. Some things affect us more than others, but everything we do has an effect on everything else we do. Not to think so is naive. This is where those little subtle errors can come from not knowing the effect that our errors are having on our lives over an extended period of time. There is a tendency for each of us to give ourselves license to continue an undisciplined act. We tell ourselves, this is the only area in which I allow myself to be weak. But this type of thinking is the beginning of delusion, for each undisciplined act tends to open the floodgates leading to other breakdowns in the chain of self-discipline. The license we give to ourselves to wander even momentarily outside the boundaries of self-control establishes a subtle tendency, and the passing of time will eventually cause other self-imposed disciplines to erode. Since every discipline affects every other discipline, we must be careful with all of them. We cannot allow ourselves the luxury of indulging any error day in and day out. Remember, every liberty we give ourselves to continue with an error has an effect on all of our other good habits, which in time has an effect on our future performance. But here is the positive side. Every new discipline affects all of our other disciplines. Every new discipline that we impose on ourselves will affect the rest of our personal performance in a positive way. The key is to keep looking for every small discipline we can find that will cause us to refine our thinking, amend our errors, and improve our results. We must continue looking for even the most insignificant of those errors in judgment that could be converted into a new discipline. Once the discipline cycle is started, our errors will begin to feel the effect, leaving tangible rewards in their wake as they make a hasty retreat. Success and happiness are easy to achieve. Taken one step at a time, all of the things that success and happiness require are actually quite easy to do. Changing from errors to disciplines is easy, as is going from failure to success. The reason why it is so easy is because we can do it, and anything we have the ability to do is always easy. Now, we may have to work hard at the daily discipline part of the equation, but reaching out with our talents to embrace success and its rewards is very easy to do. But if it is so easy, why don't more of us do it? Because while it is easy to do the things that success and happiness require, it is also easy not to do them. The danger of neglect. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. The primary reason most people are not doing as well as they could and should can be summed up in a single word: neglect. It is not the lack of money. Banks are full of money. It is not the lack of opportunity. America continues to offer the most unprecedented and abundant opportunities of any nation in the last 6,000 years of recorded history. It is not the lack of books. Libraries are full of books, and they are free. It is not the schools. The classrooms are full of good teachers. We have plenty of ministers, leaders, counselors, and advisors. Everything we would ever need to become rich and powerful and sophisticated is within our reach. The major reason that so few take advantage of all that we have is simply neglect. Many of us have heard the expression, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." We may debate the validity of this familiar quotation, but what if it were true? If by performing that one simple act, that one simple discipline, we could be more healthy and alert and active throughout our lives, then would it not make sense, and would it not be easy to eat that apple every day? Assuming the quotation is true, why don't more of us eat an apple a day, every day, to maintain our health? If it is that easy, and there is such a tremendous reward attached to this discipline, why do we not do it? Because the things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. That is how subtle failure is. Failure is largely a function of neglect. We fail to do the small things that we should do. And this seemingly insignificant license carries over to those things that are important to do. Small neglects have a way of becoming major oversights with the passage of enough time. Neglect is like an infection. Left unchecked, it will spread throughout our entire system of disciplines and eventually lead to a complete breakdown of a potentially joy-filled and prosperous human life. Not doing the things we know we should do causes us to feel guilty, and guilt leads to an erosion of self-confidence. As our self-confidence diminishes, so does the level of our activity. And as our activity diminishes, our results inevitably decline. And as our results suffer, our attitude begins to weaken. And as our attitude begins the slow shift from positive to negative, our self-confidence diminishes even more. And on it goes. Failure to do the things that we could and should do results in the creation of a negative spiral which, once started, is difficult to stop. Learn to listen to the right voice. Why are we so frequently inclined to do the things that are least important, but so reluctant to do the essential things that success and happiness demand? What is that voice that whispers to us, "Just let it all slide"? Why worry about all that discipline nonsense? It is the voice of negativity, a voice that has grown increasingly stronger over the years as a result of being around the wrong influences, thinking the wrong thoughts, developing the wrong philosophy, and making the wrong decisions. Part of the solution to quieting the voice of negativity is learning to listen to the still, small voice of success, which resides inside each of us. The voice of success is constantly struggling to be heard above the loud promptings of the voice of failure. Our own free agency allows us to follow whichever voice we choose. Every time we allow ourselves to succumb to the voice of the dark side of life, and are persuaded to repeat errors instead of mastering new disciplines, the voice of negativity grows stronger. Conversely, each time we listen to the urgings of the voice of success and are persuaded to turn off the television and pick up a book, to open our journals and record our thoughts, or to spend a quiet moment pondering where our current actions may be leading us, the voice of success responds to these new disciplines and grows in strength and volume as each day passes. For each new discipline, another step forward. We can never totally eradicate the voice of failure from within us. It will always be there, urging us to think and feel and act in a way that is contrary to our own best interests. But we can effectively silence this destructive influence by developing a sound philosophy and a positive attitude about life and our future. Creating a new philosophy is easy to do. Making new and better decisions is easy to do. Developing a new attitude is easy to do. All of the worthwhile and rewarding things we have covered in this chapter are easy to do. But the major challenge, the one that could leave us with pennies instead of fortune and trinkets instead of treasures, is that it is also easy not to do. We must keep a watchful eye on the subtle differences between success and failure and be ever mindful of the inner urgings that would have us repeating costly errors rather than developing new disciplines. We must each make our own conscious decision to reach out for the good life through the refinement of our thoughts and the careful examination of the potential consequences of our accumulated errors. We must not allow ourselves to think that the errors do not matter. They do. We must not allow ourselves to assume that a lack of discipline in one small area of our lives will not make a difference. It will. And we must not allow ourselves to believe that we can have all that we want to have and become all that we wish to be without making any changes in the way we think about life. We must. The journey toward the good life begins with a serious commitment to changing any aspect of our current philosophy that has the capacity to come between us and our dreams. The remaining pieces of the puzzle of life can be of little value if we have not first made the firm resolve to do something with this piece of the puzzle. Everything is within our reach if we will read the books, use the journals, practice the disciplines, and wage a new and vigorous battle against neglect. These are some of the fundamental activities that lead not only to the development of a new philosophy, but to a new life filled with joy and accomplishment. Each new and positive activity weakens the grip of failure and steers us ever closer to the destination of our choice. Each new, disciplined step taken toward success strengthens our philosophical posture and increases our chances of achieving a well-balanced life. But the first step in realizing this worthy achievement lies in becoming the master of our ship and the captain of our soul by developing a sound personal philosophy. That's the end of the 5 essential pieces of life's puzzle. As you reflect on these principles, remember that each small discipline you adopt today can lead to profound changes in your future. By refining your thoughts and actions, you're not just solving the puzzle of life, you're creating a masterpiece. I hope you feel inspired to take action and proud of yourself for every step you take towards personal growth. Remember, success is not a distant dream. It's a series of daily choices and disciplines. If you found this content valuable, please consider giving us a like and following our channel for more inspirational content. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment.